Hi there, Danny here from 1 Minute Podcast Tips, and welcome to the special episode. Today, December 8, 1 Minute Podcast Tips turns 1, so if you don't mind, cheers. When I first started a podcast back in December 2022, I wasn't really sure if a podcast that just had 1 minute tips would work. After all, how much information can you really get in a 1 minute podcast tip? Well, it turns out, surprisingly, quite a bit. When you just really knuckle down and focus on the tip itself and make sure each episode is just purely one tip, you can actually get a lot of information out there. And thankfully, listeners seem to agree. So thank you for turning 1 Minute Podcast Tips into a show that a lot of podcasters enjoy, whether they're new podcasters just starting out or experienced ones with 1, 2, 3, 4 or more shows under the belt. To help me celebrate the 1 year anniversary, I've asked some of my favourite podcasters to share their own 1 minute tips with you, from marketing to production, to community, and a lot more. There's a lot of great information coming your way. So sit back, enjoy if you're watching on YouTube, or enjoy listening on your favourite podcast app. Enjoy the tips.
Hi, my name's Arielle Nissenblatt. I am on the community team at Descript, and I'm the founder of Earbuds Podcast Collective. I am here to celebrate Danny Brown's 1 year anniversary for his podcast. In celebration, I would like to offer my own 1 minute podcast tip. And you know it's got to be marketing related. And my tip is that your podcast does not exist in a vacuum. Doesn't sound like a tip right off the bat, does it? But it comes with a little bit of instruction. Commit to regularly checking the Spotify charts, the Apple charts, the homepage on Pocket Casts, on CastBox, the homepage on Good Pods. Check out what other shows are trending in your podcast category. There are other people who are making shows similar to yours, and those people could be your potential collaborators, or they might be people that you feel competitive with. But I want to encourage you to see them not as competitors, but as potential collaborators. So be aware of what they're making, what topics they're focused on, and think about how you can collaborate with those shows. Happy anniversary to Danny, and wishing you all the best.
Hey, my name is Mark Asquith, and I am the co-founder here at Captivate. Happy birthday to 1 Minute Pod Tips, and congratulations to you, Danny, for making the show something that I think everyone really benefits from. So congratulations. My 1 minute pod tip for you, the serious indie creator, is to consider thinking very seriously about diversity in monetization. So many people strive to build their downloads, rightly so. They strive to build their audience, rightly so. However, they think that monetization can only come when you've hit a certain threshold. And whilst that may be true for CPM-based sponsorships and programmatic or spot sponsorships, it doesn't have to be the case with other types of monetization: memberships, subscriptions, early access to content, direct sales of fixed price sponsorships, listener support, tips, live events, merchandise, services, products. There's so much that you can do. And I'm seeing it so very often now where shows that have just got started are actually not only covering their costs, but they're becoming really profitable very, very early. But it's all about the mindset. Set yourself up as a brand, as a podcaster, as a creator, and consider that diversity in monetization. Eggs in baskets never works. Diversify your monetization.
Hello, I'm James Cridland from Pod News, and happy 1 year anniversary to the 1 Minute Podcast Tips podcast, Danny. I hope you celebrate appropriately. Now, you asked me for my tip, and I would say don't forget to take pictures with your guests. Grab screenshots or cuddle up for a selfie. Those pictures are great for episode images, for social media, or for your website, but also great for other people to help promote your show, like your local newspaper or your appropriate magazine, or even a daily newsletter all about podcasting at podnews.net. It's free. Seriously, the more pictures and material you have, the easier it is to promote your show. So get taking pictures as well as recording great audio.
Hi, I'm Ashley Hamer, and I'm the host of the podcast Taboo Science, which examines taboo topics through a scientific lens. My bit of podcasting advice is to record video every time you're recording audio. That includes interviews, narration, any part of the content that makes up your show. Even if you haven't decided to do a full-blown video podcast, there are a lot of reasons to have video. Sorry, had to grab the cat. If you're promoting on social media, videograms grab a lot more attention than audiograms or static images. And if in the future you do decide to do a video podcast, you'll have archive footage you can use in those new episodes. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can set up your phone or even use your webcam. Just record video and thank me later.
Danny, happy birthday to you and your show. I'm Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting, and my tip is on imposter syndrome. And check this out. Garth Brooks, Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, these are people that have imposter syndrome. They're at the top of their field, and yet they still kind of go, I'm a fraud. So here's some things to get you out of that mindset. Number one, spend $100 on a microphone and 100 hours getting to understand your audience, because then you'll know. You won't be guessing. Is this going to be valuable? You'll know. Then, so many times we think about the audience. Well, don't think about the audience. Think about that one person who needs to hear your show. Because when you think about the audience, yeah, it kind of messes with our head. So don't do that. And then think about serving your audience. When the need to serve is higher than your fear of looking stupid, you'll actually press record. Happy birthday, Danny. Keep up the great work.
Hey, Danny, congrats on your 1-year birthday anniversary of your podcast. My name is Reena Friedman Watts, host of the Better Call Daddy show, a show I do with my dad. I interview interesting and controversial people, share the stories with him, and then he weighs in with his intergenerational perspective. That way we both up our wisdom rating together. And what I have learned from doing over 350 episodes is, dun-dun-dun, follow up with past guests. There is gold in your inbox. Don't be a one and doneer. A lot of interview podcasts, they interview their guests and then they never talk to them again. Figure out other ways that you can collaborate, like doing this video right now, or do an IG Live, a Facebook Live, a LinkedIn audio room. Are your guests releasing a new course, a book? Can you do an update story with them? It doesn't have to be another podcast episode. It can be making short form content. Check your inbox. I'm sure you're overlooking possibilities and you shouldn't skip over them.
Hey, Danny here again. And I think you'll agree these were some awesome tips that everybody shared. And I really hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. For my own tip for this birthday episode, if you've got an idea for a podcast, whether that's your very first one as a brand new podcaster, or your second, third, fourth, or whichever one it might be as an existing podcaster, but you're not quite sold on whether the idea or not will run, just go with it. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, I really wasn't sure about 1-minute podcast tips and whether or not there'd be enough value in a 1-minute tip. But as mentioned, it did and it worked. So no matter what the podcast idea is that you have and how silly it might sound, just run with it. With so many podcast hosting platforms now offering unlimited podcasts, it's really easy for you to experiment. Heck, even use one of the free podcasting platforms and just get your idea up there. And then share a direct link with your friends and family, colleagues, etc. and get their feedback. The main thing is get the idea out there, because there will come a time down the line, whether it's 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, whatever, you'll think back and think, you know what, I should have done that idea, because now someone else has come out with it. So that would be my tip for this special episode. Take your idea from just a flight of fancy and make it something tangible. You never know, it could be the next big podcast that you create. Thank you so much for supporting the show for the last 12 months and making it one that many podcasters go to when it comes to being a better podcaster themselves. I'm looking forward to sharing more tips with you in 2024. Until the next time, happy podcasting.